right, good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
There you go. Thank you. Welcome to the 110th annual LRH community meeting. Thank you all for potentially braving the storm later on and coming out to see us this evening. It's great to see a lot of familiar faces here from the LRH team and from our community supporters. We really appreciate all of your support, past, present, and future. As you know, LRH is a real community resource, and we're very lucky to have Littleton Regional Healthcare here in our community. I've been around a little bit, moved away from the community, and really have gained an appreciation that we're very fortunate to have an organization and an institution like LRH here in the North Country. So I am, I thought that, yeah, I'm Bill Bedore. I'm here tonight in my role as chairperson. Many of you will remember me in the past from my role as treasurer. Thankfully tonight, that's going to fall to Mr. Roger Chang. So this evening, I'm more of your ringleader than I am your finance guy. I really want to thank you all for putting your trust in me. I'm very excited to be up here tonight for two reasons. One, because I don't in fact have to do the finance part tonight, which I've had to for the last several years. But even more importantly, and primarily because I am so proud of LRH. I'm so proud of our people. I'm proud of what we do here. Littleton Regional Healthcare is a special place. And it's a special place because of the people that are part of the organization. And so from every level, it really is unmatched, I think, in the rural community and in the North Country especially. 2016 was a challenging year. Healthcare is a challenging business these days. I don't think with the new administration and the new Congress that it's likely to get any less challenging in the future. We'll be talking a little bit tonight about 2016 and some of the specifics. We'll also be talking about the future a little bit. The good news is that even though 2016 was a very challenging year, LRH continues to be extremely strong financially. We continue to grow, and we continue to do what obviously is our primary mission, which is to provide very high quality, compassionate care to the people of the North Country. And so all of you in this room who are part of our organization and everybody here in the community should be very proud of that, as am I. Of course, last year at this time, Warren and Steve did a lot of talking about the North Country Healthcare affiliation. We're less than a year into that. It's been an exciting and challenging time, but I can honestly say as I stand here that it has met and exceeded all of our expectations, and those expectations at every single level. So it's cost a lot of money and taken a lot of time to put together, but we're already seeing the financial benefits of putting those 4 hospitals together. We're also seeing the clinical benefits of that. Of course, again, it's less than a year in, so it's going to take some time to realize a lot of the things that we'd hope to see, but it's going in the right direction, and a lot of the people in this room are part of that, and I want to thank you. It's been an interesting year. Of course, part of that North Country Healthcare situation was that it needed a CEO. So we actually had to give up our CEO and let him take the reins at NCH. That in and of itself was a little bit of a challenge. We tried to get him to do both jobs for the same pay. Just couldn't do it. Nobody could, obviously. So we won't be recognizing that savings on the top line. But so obviously we had to find a replacement for Warren. Not an easy thing to do, actually. Been around here for 10 years now, almost exactly. And so we went through an extensive search last spring, and in fact, we failed. We did not find exactly the right person last spring to take over for Warren and take the president's position here at LRH. And so we made the difficult and somewhat controversial decision to keep looking. And so one of the things that made that process of continuing to look much easier is the fact that we had the opportunity to bring Nick Braccino in as a temporary. Many of you know Nick. He was here as a temporary CFO. He's got to be the longest tenured temporary anything that we've ever seen. I think we were just talking about it was like 4 years ago when we first talked to you. So Nick, and in fact, Nick is not really gone. Nick, he will be. Well, you know, maybe not. But we were very fortunate. It made that decision much easier for the board, knowing that Nick would come on board for 6 or 7 months and allow us the time we needed to find just the right person to take over as president. I don't think Bianca wanted to let him leave Florida. Bianca is his white Mercedes. His wife Ruth, I think, was more okay with it. But in fact, Nick did come on board and has done a great job. I want to thank him for his work over the last 6 or 7 months and now for his continued consulting work that he's going to do for the next 4 or 5, 6, 7 years, something like that. But again, we took a massive amount of time to try and find just the right person for the president's position here, and many of you in the room were part of that process, and it was extensive and time-consuming. And in the second time around, we were lucky enough to actually find that person. In fact, we found 2 that would have been excellent. We settled on one, Mr. Bob Nutter, who is here this evening as well, and he's coming over from Maine, has family ties to Lyndonville, Vermont, and so we're very excited to have him come on board. And Nick did just a good enough job in that 6 or 7 months, but made people just mad enough so that he's set Bob up for a very successful initial couple of months here. So before I turn it over to Nick and Bob to talk about 2016 and 2017 forward, I do just want to mention, for those of you who have been here before, as you know, we're going to have some great food at 6 o'clock. Jürgen has, I'm sure, outdone himself, Jürgen and his people, as they always do. But it's a little different tonight. In the past, there hasn't been any back-end time frame for that. It's 6 to whenever. Tonight, it's 6 to 7:15 because there's going to be something after that. We're having employee recognition later on, and we want to give the kitchen time to come and set up so that the employees can come back in and enjoy a nice fresh spread after their recognition activities. So just so you know, we might start kicking you out at 7 or so, and don't be surprised by that or upset for that matter. So I would like to turn this over now to Nick to talk about 2016, and then you can introduce Bob when you're ready. Good. Thank you.
To start with, I just wanted to read to you what our mission is, because I think we kind of live and breathe it every day. And it's real short: to provide quality, compassionate, and accessible health care in a manner that brings value to all, which kind of encompasses the whole thing. Can you hear me better? It won't matter. We can't get it to work right. So,
come on, Nick, you're not a wallflower.
We're working around it. Yeah, right. So anyway, what we did last year for the president, we showed you the awards that we got, and so we want to do the same thing this year. The list is a lot shorter, but I think it's a lot more noteworthy. And to start with, we were recognized by iVantage Health Analytics and Organization of the State Office of Rural Health, overall excellence in quality and patient perspectives. We also were named Most Wired for the 4th year in a row. And is this better? How's that? All right. Why am I always the guinea pig?
The most wide possible.
Yeah. Except for public speaking. That's a great time to have this come on. But what I'm really excited about was the fact that we wound up last year being recognized by CMS as a 4-star hospital. And what CMS has started doing is kind of like what you see in the hotel business. They get the evaluations from the individuals that are served and then rate an agency based on those evaluations. It's pretty simple. That's what it's about. I was excited because last year we got 4 stars. And there was only 5% of the entire country that got 5 stars. So I was tickled to death we got 4. Well, guess what? In December, we learned that we wound up this year getting 5 stars. So we actually improved. And we're number 1 in the state.
No other 5-star in the state.
Right. So, and I wanted to take more credit than Warren, but he was in this office longer than I was. He went and checked. But I just wanted to say we're really excited about that. The team here is fantastic. You know, we got words on our badges, but we also have words in our hearts. And that's what's the difference about this place. And I just want to thank you for the opportunity to work here. Thank you. Bob, you want to come up? I want to introduce you to everybody.
You can sing or something while I was
Yeah.
walking out.
This is Bob Nutter. He's your new president.
You want me to sing a solo?
Yeah.
I'm not much of a singer, so I'll spare you from that. I'm very pleased to be joining, and the good news with what you just saw being 5-star rated, we didn't get word about that until yesterday? That's when I started, so I'm just saying. I know Nick wants the credit, Warren wants the credit. I don't know, maybe it had something to do with...
Who gets the credit are the customers.
Yeah, that's
Because
right.
You're the guys that rated us, and you made us number 1. And we appreciate it, right?
Absolutely. I'm very pleased to be joining Littleton. This has been an area that I've driven back and forth to with my wife and her family. All are from Lyndonville, St. Johnsbury area. So I've commuted back and forth from Cumberland, back and forth past here many times. And I visited the hospital several times, visiting my wife's side of the family. So who knew that one day I would be serving as the next president here. So thank you for your trust in me. We have a wonderful group of people. I just really fell in love with this opportunity when I first started to talk to folks, and I'm very, very pleased to be here. So thank you very much for having me as your president. And if you ever need anything, I know everyone knows how to reach out to people, but we're here to serve you. So whatever we can do, please let us know. So thank you.
We turn it over to Dr. Sauter for a charitable report.
This is a quick report on the contributions for this year. For 2016, we raised $230,000, and more importantly, we had 440 donors. That was for the money. In addition to that, we had 48 area businesses and individuals who contributed in-kind donations, and those are usually used for gifted items or service to offset the costs of fundraising, provide raffle items and auction items. And as a matter of fact, at this year's Dr. Moose Golf Tournament, we set a new record for the net of $32,000. We were so full that we had to add on the 9-hole golf course as well. And next year, if we do better, we're going to put in a mini golf course for those of you. The other things we've raised money for are the diabetes education, the Fraternal Order of Eagles and the Lions Club both have been contributing money to that. The Connors family has been supporting the Anna Connors Patient and Family Resource Center, otherwise known as the library, and they want to keep us up to date on our health-related information. nursing and clinical scholarships have been made available in addition to what comes from the auxiliary for nursing and clinical education. The Charitable Foundation Century Fund is still in existence, and this is for the long-term future of LRH. Gifts received through this are invested, and the interest that's earned is then used to support the programs and services of the hospital. Helping Hands Fund, which supports the LRH staff who may be facing a financial crisis and need temporary assistance, has also been contributed to. The Paul McGoldrick and Family Endowment Fund this year have presented us with patient care bags for patients who things they might need during chemotherapy and infusion treatments. The Littleton Chevrolet gave a generous in-kind donation for the purchase of our new truck, which we use for distributing ash and other things for the maintenance department. There are many donors who have been given just for uncompensated care so that they can help offset the cost of medical care. We have, in addition to the monetary gifts, we have 2 anonymous knitters who made hundreds of mittens and hats, which were distributed around Christmas time. We had several people doing knitting and crocheting for lap rugs for the oncology patients to keep them warm. Next year we're going to pay for the heating instead, but that's all right. There are many ways you can support fundraising for the efforts of Littleton Hospital, and I encourage you to visit the website. And if you have questions, call Gail Clark. That's 444-9304. You need that number written down somewhere? I want to thank everybody involved with the fundraising efforts. This includes all the entire community, but especially Gail and Courtney, the committee members. And on the way out, we want to have you pick up one of the annual reports, which includes some of the donations. Next.
I'm going to try and be quick too. And I do have a donation that we'll take care of doing a picture of afterwards, but we'll take care of that. I'm Cindy Mitchell, and I'm president of the Littleton Regional Healthcare Auxiliary. And I truly work with an amazing group. They continue to work hard to earn funds for the hospital projects we support. We continue to do well with our Moose Ledge gift shop and mini Moose kiosk, Dining for a Cause at 99, and actually we have one coming up shortly on February 7th, so look around for flyers and vouchers and come out and support us. It's not just about the money, it's a fun night too. Everybody has a good time. Books are fun, Bag Alley, Garden of Memories, North Shore Acapella came and sang, Mulligans at the Dr. Moose Golf Tournament, and last but certainly not least, our annual holiday cookie sale, where we sold over $1,100 of cookies in 3 hours. A lot of cookies and a lot of time went into putting them together. Our scholarship program continues to be our biggest outreach. This year we had 2 qualifying high school seniors, but we had 12 hospital employees who received scholarships, and we gave out $15,000 in scholarships. For those of you that aren't familiar, we also do this at a reception that we have for the recipients. The families come and we give them here instead of at the school so that we get a chance to meet the families. We continue to be one of the biggest supporters of the Women's Health Conference and the Caravan, and that's what our gift is for tonight. We've got a check for you. We also provide funds for the family support team, clothing for trauma and urology patients, the Reach Out and Read program for pediatric patients, diaper bags for maternity patients, and an iPad for the diabetic education. In an effort to reach out to the community, on March 13th, we will be showing the program, The Hungry Heart. It deals with the problem of the prescription opioid crisis in our nation. It's been a very busy year. We've had some losses in our group, but we also continue to get stronger with each new addition that we have. So come join us. Help us reach our goals. Thank you.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure serving as a director on the board. Outside of being in the Finance Committee since I started there 4 years ago, I also serve on the Quality Committee. And I have to say that the Quality Committee, outside of equal to Finance, is just an exciting group of hardworking individuals, which is one of the reasons what drives this 5-star rating, and obviously drives the organization to be what they are today. On the finance side, I'm going to try to keep it short. That's always hard for me when it comes to finance, but in this particular case, it's not all great. The organization's been challenged with earnings. Although we, what did I do? Okay, here we go. Our gross revenues were $163 million. You'll see that a year ago they were 5% lower. Net earnings at 88. You'll also see in the further slides that it was about equal to the previous year. Operating margin, it's the lowest we've seen it in years. Basically $100,000 at $0.11 million. On the upside, we got a very healthy balance sheet, almost $99 million of assets, basically $32 million of that are investments. Visits with a place to come at almost 129,000. Our most important assets are people. We've got physician practicing at 144, and we also got total staffing of just shy of 500. And we provide $3.7 million to the community, which is about 2.4% of our total gross earnings. This is a real telling slide. You can see that this is our growth. There's your 5% growth in the gross earnings. So we certainly brought in more gross dollars, at least in billings. But look at the net. Basically flat. The spread between this here is $7 million. That $7 million, over 6 of it went in allowances. So basically there was margin erosion as a result of the change in payer mix, more AR write-off, accounts receivable write-offs. So even though we had a growth of 5%, flat. Patients served, we saw on the first page 122,000 patients. We can see that at least in the area of emergencies, basically flat, a little higher from the previous year, 2014. The outpatients, basically flat. The clinical side is where we're seeing some growth. Basically primary care, which is where we wanted to see the growth, and we plan for that growth. Operating margin. Okay, well, the way this chart works is this is a percent of net sales or net revenues. Okay, so as we see, we came in at basically a wash, $100,000. As a result of a 0.5% margin, this was $500,000 worth of profit. In this particular year, which was a great year in 2014, $1.7 million worth of earnings, but it only gave us about 2% return. So you can see that our return as a percent of our net revenues has been in a real downhill slide. This last good year we had in 2013, certainly prior to 2011, we brought in $2.4 million of net operating income, and that was your 3% margin. Although this is a real depressing slide, look what the competitors on all New Hampshire hospitals of critical access. we haven't got 16 numbers yet, but all the critical access hospitals in the last 2 years have suffered. And compared to even back in 2013, which is all the more reason why North Country healthcare system needs to be fit into the system. We have to find a way to mitigate this. If we don't do anything, it's going to be down into here. As I said earlier, the erosion of allowances that we negotiate with our insurance companies took $6 million right out of the bottom line. $6 million from this year to this year disappeared. Hence, the board has worked very hard to look at the upcoming years. The affiliation is helping us to mitigate some of our negotiating opportunities. At this particular point, we've got a good plan in place. We expect 2017 to elevate back up into this range here, and God be it, and the creek don't rise, it'll be a little higher. Any questions? That's why my wife doesn't let me drive.
Thank you, Roger. Good job. Okay, good. So we're right on schedule. We've got plenty of time scheduled for this last piece of the meeting. This is the fun part, I think. So Bob, did that last slide excite you? Are you going to move back to Maine, or? Don't worry, Nick will stay if you like to. No, great job, Roger. I mean, I think while obviously we're not thrilled about those results, you can see that we compare extremely well to our peers, and certainly the board and the team as a whole has an excellent plan to continue our financial strength, and we are strong financially. So, and in fact, our fiscal year ends in September, and so we're a few months in, and we are having a very good fiscal year, relatively speaking. So, lots of stuff to look forward to. So, 2016, actually, as happens just about every year, we're going to be losing a couple of good people. We'll start at the top of the list with Mr. John Starr.
Do I need to stand up?
Not at the moment.
I'm getting old.
John and I started on the board together 10 years ago. I don't think I'd met John previous to meeting you and Maggie in Chicago at the board orientation that we went to there. And it's been a real pleasure serving with you. For those of you who know John, he's a no-nonsense sort of guy. He's the salt of the earth. He's very intelligent, although he wouldn't necessarily want you to know that. He served as board chair several years ago, stepping up very early in his tenure, actually, relatively speaking, and took us through actually a fairly difficult time here where we were working through some personnel and human resources and legal issues, and he and Warren were able to navigate those very well, and we were able to come out the other side, I think, in a very positive manner, and haven't heard anything about any of that sort of stuff in a long time, so hopefully we won't. John is sitting on the North Country Healthcare Board, so even though he's not going to be around the table with us here, he's going to represent Littleton at the parent company, and I'm confident that he will be a great voice there. We've got a rocking chair for him floating around here somewhere. Oh wait, not a rocking chair. just a regular chair, right?
Still trying.
Okay. So please join me in thanking John for his service. And John, now you can stand up if you'd like and take a bow. Okay, so the second one is a little bit of a misnomer. Dr. Goldberg was head of the medical staff last year. That's a one-year term. And so that is what we are thanking him for this evening, and that's why his name is here. And although we haven't taken the official vote, I'm confident enough that there won't be a problem with that I could say that Dr. Goldberg will be coming on the board as a voted board member as opposed to the medical staff president here in the coming year. He's an excellent voice at the table. Frankly, the medical staff is always an excellent voice at the table. There is a lot of medical staff leadership. I'm going to quickly go through the 2016 medical staff leadership. I'm not going to say each and every title because it's sort of a long list actually, but it does just go to prove we got an amazing clinical staff, and we're very, very fortunate that everybody really steps up and helps. So Dr. Goldberg was our leader there, thank you. Dr. Fitzpatrick, who is the incoming president, who will be here for 2017. Dr. Hallquist, Dr. Green, that's Waverly Green, Dr. Rankin, Dr. Sauter, Dr. Duffy, Dr. Green and Dr. Sauter on multiple occasions. We've got a new position this year, actually, that relates somewhat to North Country Health. That's Chief Medical Officer. So that's Dr. Duffy as well. And Dr. MacArthur, who was actually the medical staff president from 2 years ago. Speaking of 2 years ago, evidently we forgot to thank Dr. MacArthur 2 years ago. So I'm going to go ahead and thank him tonight. I haven't seen him here. He's going to get thanked whether he likes it or not. We have rocking chairs and/or regular chairs for all of these people. I've already thanked Nick. I can't thank you enough. It's been a joy to work with you. We will miss if nothing else, we'll miss your laugh. Okay, so Warren West. The man, the myth, the legend. This is what Warren looked like 10 years ago when he started working. He still looks pretty good, but he did, let's be honest, he looked a little younger before he went through the stress of running such a wonderful but challenging organization for 10 years. There he is. That's really what he looked like when I first met him in Chicago at the QHR conference. He's a great guy. Irrespective of what you might think of him as a CEO, he's a good guy. And his personality comes through, I think, in what he does. And most people in this room, I think, know him to varying degrees, either know him very well or at least know him a little bit. He's a fun guy to be around, and I think that personality really has helped to create a culture here at LRH that has allowed us to succeed in the way that we have over the last 10 years. He's a good friend. And he's willing to do just about anything that we ask him to do. He sings, he dances, he does Zumba. Whatever that is. He's a big golfer, as we all know. Not necessarily a good golfer, but he is a big golfer. He believes in the tenet of managing by walking around. I can't remember where that quote comes from, but I certainly wasn't the first one to say it. But those of you who have been around here over the last 10 years know that up until this last year when he took that move up to NCH, he was always walking around. You probably got sick of him walking around, actually. here he comes again. He's going to catch me doing something, or he's going to bug me. But I think that is really what has made the difference in the culture here at LRH and ultimately in Littleton Regional Healthcare's success over the last 10 years. I had just moved back to Littleton 10 years ago when I took the board position, but my understanding is that there were many, many significant challenges when Warren came on as CEO. I don't know if that's an understatement. I don't want to be negative. And I certainly don't want to give credit to Warren for fixing everything all on his own and making it all happen. But what he did do is he provided the leadership and created the culture that allowed all of those things to happen. And so it's the team that is well represented in this room that ultimately has created the success that we've experienced here. But as leader, it was ultimately all his responsibility, and he has really earned our respect for that. He is a passionate guy. I always found it interesting, and now I get a little choked up myself, that at these meetings, he often got a little choked up. And it's because he cares so much about this organization. He's really is fun. I mean, I wanted to get a picture of him looking a lot older, but I wasn't able to do that, so I can't tell the final joke that I wanted to. He loves to be on the slopes. He loves his family and his dog. But the reality is that even though, this slide says he'd much rather be snowboarding, I don't think I'd be putting words in his mouth to say that every day that he was here at LRH, this is where he wanted to be. And we were very fortunate to have him here, and we're very fortunate, frankly, to have him running in North Country Healthcare as well, because even though he's moved on, he's still around. Now, there are a couple other people in the room who know him at least as well as I know him, or maybe a little better. One of those is Dr. Ed Duffy, whom you know runs our ED. He's now our CMO. Whether we want to thank him or blame him for hiring Warren, I'm not 100% sure, but he was actually part of the group that hired Warren. So I'm going to let Ed say a few words about him. And then maybe John Starr, who again, both of them were already board chaired before me, could say a couple of words, and then I'll come back up and wrap things up.
All right. Thank you, Bill. Warren and I have had a strange and wonderful relationship. Yes, the only person left in the organization, I think, who was in that group who was responsible for offering him the job. It was interesting. I was the vice chairman on the executive board, on the executive committee of the board, and just as he was hired, I became the chairman for 2 years. So immediately, I became his first boss. But the funny thing about it was, he was my boss too. So we've had that kind of strange, wonderful relationship. We've been just about everywhere together. I mean, I made a list the other day, Warren. You wouldn't believe it. I mean, we've been L.A., San Francisco, Orlando, Palm Springs. I mean, I'm not even touching the surface. I won't tell you about details about some of the things that went on. We went on a lot of car rides, and I won't mention the trip in L.A. that had a detour through Hollywood. And we played a lot of golf. We played some good places and world-class places. And I will not discuss when you wore out your sand iron at Baltusrol the last time we played. I think there are 100 bunkers. Warren was in 114 of them. But yeah, I think we did a lot together in the years that we worked here, and I'm real happy to be working with him in North Country Healthcare. I know he did a lot. And I know he did a lot for the organization, and I've told you once, at least, I'm proud of you. I still am. And I'm proud to know you and work with you. And I know that was one of the best decisions I ever made. back then. So thanks, Warren, and I'm going to bring up John, who has a few more things to say.
Who is this guy I'm supposed to say something nice about? Come on, help me.
Nick Pacino.
I'm getting old. I've been doing this a little while. Who is this guy again? Come on.
Warren.
Oh, okay. He used to work here. How long has that been? 4 or 5 years?
Don't really miss it.
Seems like, Anyway, we didn't fire him, did we?
No.
Oh, good, because, maybe we won't get any lawsuits.
You guys get
You guys are a dead crowd. Come on, give me some help here.
Grab the mic there, buddy.
Okay, now, you guys have heard about the story about the guy with the bucket.
Gotta use the mic.
Oh, you can't hear me? Okay. Okay. Now, you guys have heard the story of the guy with the bucket. I'm sure you all have. Still kind of quiet. I need to, well, he had this bucket, and he filled it up with water. And kind of looked at it for a little bit, and then he stuck his thumb in it. Stirred it around a little bit, pulled his thumb out real quick, looked in there. What did he see? Come on, what did he see? You guys are, come on, give me some help here. How about no hole? Well, maybe that's what happened when, Warren went away, I don't know. Okay. Anyway, now, this little clicker work,
Yep.
and the top one goes forward.
Right one goes forward.
Right one goes forward. Okay, I was gonna go back that one.
There you go.
Okay. Now, that's a nice picture, guys out doing this thing. Looks kind of like the top of Mount Mansfield. Is that the Octagon Lodge in the corner there? Okay. Well, I was reading my Business New Hampshire magazine this month. Open the page, flip through it, and what do I see staring me in the face? That picture.
Scary.
And it's attached to an article, about the 4 hospital affiliation, and it's a nice article. But, we've got to talk to somebody about the dress code up there. Because,
He's gonna talk on underneath there.
now, there's a dress code here, isn't there? You guys all have a dress code? Yeah. Okay, well, there's our fearless leader. Anyway, okay, you guys weren't, I wasn't funny or you weren't laughing, one of the two. But on the proverbial more serious note, Warren has been a successful CEO here at LRH. And typically successful CEOs, as they say in business school, they try to make the trains run on time. They worry about having a positive bottom line. And the really good ones, they worry about the future and what strategy we should be taking to position ourselves to be in the right spot for the future. I think I can say Warren did all those things, and he did them well. Over and above that, Warren worried about and worked on the organization's culture, our culture. And in the CEO world, trying to change an organization's culture is really heavy lifting. It takes a long time, it takes a lot of energy, it takes a lot of focus, over and above the trains on time and the positive bottom line and having a handle on the future. I think I can say unequivocally that the culture in this organization has steadily improved for the last 10 years. And, for that, Warren, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I suspect other people would too. Thank you, sir.
Okay, so I think we're on schedule. You're all getting hungry, I can tell, as am I. So, I think there are a couple more slides. I couldn't resist the CPA side of me. So this is your team, Warren. They're a great team. You helped to make them that way. Okay, so here's a slide you can get excited about. No, I just want to wrap up and say the culture is amazing. It makes this place what it is. This is what has happened under Warren's leadership in terms of 2007, 2016. Number of patients, surgical visits, etc., births, through the roof. Net revenue, that's the money we actually get, not the top line that doesn't really mean anything. And it's an organization that he helped put together. So I am very proud to call him a friend. Please join me in thanking Warren West. Can you say a few words, or are you too choked up?
I've never known him not to be able to say a few words.
For those of you who know me, that was a very painful 10 minutes. I don't like too much recognition because I didn't do it. You all did it. What I did was nothing compared to the work that the team at LRH did. So the credit goes to you, and I want to thank you for saying thanks.
We should have a picture of the food up here, but let's eat.